So if you've made it this far, I want to say thank you for getting this deep into this project. And I want you to know that this is all very easy, learnable stuff. And I'll help you. If you need help, send me a DM on Maker World, comment in the listing. I would love doing this kind of stuff and helping others. So having said that, if you've opened the 3MF file, you'll see that all of the armor is there. It's only one-sided, so for instance, if you want the other side, you got to copy and paste it, and then go right-click, mirror across x-axis. So now you've got a left shin and a right shin, okay? And you got to print both of them, obviously, for the full suit. So that's how you do that. Now, you'll notice that these things fit like my action figures because I have to prove, Maker World has a rule that you have to prove that everything is printable nowadays, but I don't have the time or the money, to be honest, in filament to print this entire suit. So what I did was I printed it all at 1/5 scale. If you go to each piece, you notice it's at exactly 20%. So as the example, if you select all and then increase it by, I think, what, 500%? Because that makes it 500, right? So now it's at 100%. So this is all the pieces at 100%. Now, some of them will fit on the bed, and you can just print them, like this knee cover, okay? Obviously, for your best options here, I would always do this tool. It'll tell you what the flattest surface is. Okay, so some of the parts at full size will fit. However, most of them will not. So what you have to do is slice these up. Now, the problem is I don't know your body's dimensions. This unit is scaled to a model that I've created. I call him the ultimate male. He's this guy. But so you can see he's got, big arms, buff thighs, but it all fits him. So you still need to scale this thing to your body. So let's talk about that. Let's use the helmet as the example. So let's throw it on a new bed just so it's easier. Okay, so now we've got it in the middle. Now, let's scale it a little bigger so it's easier to work with. Now here's the helmet, okay? So the two dimensions that matter on a helmet are the width and the height, or the length, I should say. So in this case, what you have to do this. You have to make cosplay calipers, which there's a link in the listing to the cosplay calipers that I designed, and you have to physically measure your head. These projects are not plug and play. It wouldn't make sense that way. These things have to be made to fit your body. This is custom stuff. So let's do an example. So let's say, for instance, you measure the distance from ear to ear. And what does it say on here? So this is 124 millimeters, okay? Let's say your dimension was 150 millimeters. So what I do is I go to a calculator, and I'm going to do it here behind the scenes. So I'm going to say, what percentage of 124 is 150? It's 120.9. Okay, so now all I have to do is go to this and resize it, and we'll say, what's 120% of 70.46? 84.55. So we change this to 84.55, and the whole thing will scale. Now, if we did the math right, we should be able to go here and go click, click, and it should be about 150, 149. There it is. Okay, so that works. So that's uniform scaling. Now, for instance, let's say, I know you don't, but let's say you have a really wide head. That was uniform. But if we go here and we click uniform, now it's ununiform. So now we can scale it in only one direction, which is needed in some cases. So for instance, let's say this dimension that we just measured is good, but this one, let's say you've got a big nose or something. So this one is now wrong. If you do uniform scaling, it'll bring it all together, which just doesn't help you. So if you unclick uniform scaling and do this, now you can change specific dimensions, okay? Obviously, you're not an alien with an oblong head, so that doesn't make any sense. Control Z. So anyway, so now you understand how to scale digitally. You have to use cosplay calipers. measure your body, scale the pieces so they fit your specific body, okay? Now, the next question is, what happens if the pieces are too big to print? That'll be the last thing we talk about. Now, you can see here that, again, it's too tall and it's outside the edges. So what we need to do is slice it. So we'll go to this tool right here. We'll do cut. And this tool is very basic. It's very easy to manipulate. You can change all these features. We can cut it directly in half. Okay, also add connectors if you want. These walls are really thin, so I'm not going to, but if you want to add some plugs or dowels, you can do it here. But I use a plastic welder to connect all my pieces, so I don't need to do this. So we're going to cancel that. And then, again, I like this cut, so I'm going to keep it oriented vertically. Don't place it on the cut in this case. And then perform cut. It has to fix a couple of edges, so we'll be patient and wait for that. Right? Because we're creating new mesh surfaces that the system needs to go in and fill, or else they would be hollow and that wouldn't work. Okay, so now we've got the two pieces, right? But it's still too tall. So what I would do is, I'll do this all quickly. We'll go in here, we'll cut this, we'll go like this, and then I'll go like this. Nope, I like this. Okay, perform cut. Okay, still too tall on this one. Probably both actually, so let's do that one again. So we'll cut, but this time let's cut it, pull it up front here a little bit so we don't have to slice that second one. So perform cut. Okay, now this piece is too tall, so we'll go like this and we'll cut this one. That's fine. Okay, perform cut. Okay, now we've got 1/2 of the helmet completely sliced up, and I'm just, as hopefully this works, I'll go like this, and that orients it on the print bed flat. So there's one piece that we know will fit. Let's get another bed going here. There's another piece we know that fits, and again, this piece we know will fit. Okay, so then again, so now you've got 3 pieces that are sized to your specific head that you can print individually, and then use a plastic welder, which again, there's a link in the listing for that tool. And that's it. So again, I hope this helps. I know this is a long video, but if you're doing this project, I'm telling you, this is easier than it looks. It's a lot of filament, but literally it's going to be the coolest thing you'll ever make. Thanks for coming along with me.